13th floor. The 13th floor.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 13th floor, where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing. I'm your moderator, B. Jones, sitting here from the lovely business center in my new apartment complex. Yeah, I know you guys love it. And I'm joined this week by Jeremiah Dace. What's happening, baby?
What's up, y'all? How we living?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How about you, Mike D? What's going on, bro?
Good. Glad to be here.
Yeah. What's the pause for?
I had to think about. I got surrounded, so I couldn't get into being in baseball and all that stuff. Just glad to be present.
Oh, come on, man. We'll talk about it in a second. Faison, what's up, baby?
Man, good. It's a good week. Good week. I'm tired, but I'm good. A lot of travel this week.
I got you, man. I got you. I'm right there with you.
Oh, and it's thundering like crazy right now. If you hear background thunder, that's me.
Thunder and the
Sure.
lightning.
Always bringing the boom.
DJ Barry B. Fresh, what's happening, man?
Another beautiful day in Zamunda. You know, it's been a true testament to perseverance. I've been doing a weekly event at a sports lounge down here in wonderful Delray Beach, Florida. While attendance has not been at stellar levels, I've been able to, take that time to work and craft my DJ skills a little bit better. So I'm trying to take the pluses with the minuses. But we out here, it was a late night, but we still motivated, invigorated, fresh-evated, and ready to get it. Let's go.
Caffeinated, baby. Let's get it. Last but not least, my dog, Coach K, putting dough up, man. What's happening?
What up? What up? Man, I'm good, man. I'm here living the bachelor life for about a week. Family's down in Miami. So it's funny, man, how you know you're getting older, because if you had time to yourself when you were younger, man, you'd be out and about.
Right?
Now I'm just like, oh, I can focus on getting this homework done, or I can focus on getting this project done. I can get some sleep.
Right. That's what I was about to say. Get some sleep. Maybe even some time to yourself. Enjoy a book or whatever show you have.
I don't even have time to enjoy a book unless it's a school book at the moment.
Be able to lay down in front of the TV and fall asleep without somebody being rude and coming and waking you up to tell you to go and lay down in the bed. I'm comfortable on the couch.
Man, the couch is
That's the word, man.
When I wake up, I wake up.
If I want to sleep right there, let me do it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
There is two sides to that story, because if you leave them there, why didn't you wake me up? You left me downstairs.
Hey, I don't know about y'all.
No, meet us though.
I'm talking about me. Like, I have never been like, how dare you let me sleep on the couch?
Yeah, like, I'm not even mad.
I'm like, yo, congratulations. I appreciate it.
We are what, 6 gentlemen on one call. There is not a female perspective on this call right now.
But that's because we are talking about the male perspective.
We're talking about the gentleman.
Exactly.
We're not talking about the female.
There's nothing wrong with how they choose to live their life. However,
That means
on the 13th floor, where the furniture ain't the best, but the views are amazing.
The furniture ain't the best, but that couch is comfortable.
Couch is comfortable, baby.
That means something totally different. It could be comfortable to them, but in their head, it's just like, you didn't even miss me last night? Like, you didn't even notice that I wasn't in the bed?
No photo time, right? All these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, but I want to make sure, because I know at some point the listeners will point it out. We never ask you how you are doing, Brett. So how you doing? How was your week?
It was interesting, man. Disney was great. I'll probably, like I've said many times before, not ever do it again in the middle of the summer with 4 kids. And it was hot, but I was used to it. I'm good. My son was relatively good, but he's at that age where he copies everything. So once one starts and the other starts, he's like, I'm tired too. And mind you, I just took him to Busch Gardens for his birthday. This little joker was running around all over the place. Y'all saw it. I think I sent y'all the videos of him running up and down in the canopies and everything. We was out there from like 12 to 8. No water, no mention of how tired he was. He was just going. So when the kids who are used to this up north heat get a little taste of that Florida sunshine, it kind of drained them a little bit. But it was real nice, man. The house that we stayed in had a pool. So, they were obviously more interested in the pool than the park at certain points. But, I got to get that money in, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty penny. So y'all gonna enjoy this Mickey Mouse.
Right.
Um,
All day, like it.
Hey, you ain't that tired. You ain't that tired.
I was that guy. Yeah, man. But the shows, the light shows, the fireworks and everything in the evenings were amazing. The drive back was cool. We got to stop at my man Coach K house and enjoy some hospitality. You know, we got some pizza, good conversation, and just getting off the road for a minute, man, and just kicking with the dog and the family. Watching Asher run around and actually show me some love for a minute right before we left. It was cool.
Man, he getting big. You know, I'm just seeing pictures. He's getting big. That's crazy.
I'm telling y'all, man, Asher is going to be the next Basquiat. So if y'all ever get opportunity, Carol, you can take a picture of some of these pictures, or maybe you want to keep them, you know what I'm saying, and get them framed and not put it out to the world so they appreciate and value.
Right.
But this young man is putting some nice pieces together, I promise you, with his fingers.
Get out. That's
You talking about the finger paintings, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
man.
really dope.
And then
Yeah,
on
he just
Zones
put
out.
some finger paint in front of him. He just goes to work.
Nice.
Cool.
And then like gets up like, okay, I'm done. And then it's like,
Show
my
you
hands
like,
dirty.
yo, appreciate my
I clean
work.
my hands. And yeah, if you look at the paintings, like you can actually see things in the paintings. Like, wow, like there's two people in that, and like
exactly.
Wow.
they're in a heart, and they're like embraced. And then you can see, wow, that's like a dolphin. Like it's crazy.
Wow.
We're gonna put it up, man. We're gonna shoot you some images fresh. We can get that out there. Watch my man.
Please.
Go
Young Basquiat.
Yes. And then, you know, the drive back to continue this push to move from the old apartment to the new apartment, you know, was pretty good, but it is what it is. So after I get off of here, I got to continue to break down beds and get everything into the new space.
I was actually, if you got it all done last night.
We got a lot of it done, but we was moving stuff until like 12. So I just got to break down the 2 beds and the little loose items that never fit in the box. So you got to find a bag, trash bag or something.
The loose items are the tough ones, man. The big ones are easy. It's all the small stuff.
It's always the little stuff, man. So once I get out of the way, it should be done sometime early afternoon, and I get to enjoy the rest of my Sunday.
Were you able to cleanse as you moved? Okay, haven't used that in a couple of years. Haven't used that in
I did a lot of that before we left to go to Florida, so I could just get that stuff into the Goodwill or the Salvation Army and stuff. So a lot of the stuff was already gone. Now, my lady, on the other hand, she's doing that as we work, and her mother is getting rid of some of the daughter's older clothes. So we're getting a lot of help.
House full there, huh?
Oh yeah, man, need it, man. Working these crazy hours, and then Chris and this dental student. I'm glad her mother is here to help out with the kids and cook. Man, she's an amazing cook. Keeps the kids in line. I love Miss Jeannie. Miss Jeannie, on the 13th floor, we love you. Jay knows. You see him shaking his head.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. Mike.
Hey, Jay. So before you go to Mike, I asked Brett. I said, "Is Jay gonna come help you?" And he's like, nah, Jay lives too far. But as you can see, Jay has no problem coming if Miss Jean is cooking. So that would mean for me is that Jay will never eat again. You show up to help move.
Hey, I mean, if you would have threw it out there, man, you know what I mean? If schedule permit, I would have definitely came. And that would have just been a, cherry on top with her.
The only reason I didn't is because we was doing so much, and I don't like to have. I didn't want to have nobody come up here, and we still packing as we moving.
That's the worst.
Hey, come help me move. And you just
Help me move. No,
So I had
come help me bubble wrap.
Nothing.
Nah.
Is this
So
the
that's
pre-party? What are we doing?
That's why I didn't throw it out
next
there.
Saturday.
Exactly, Mike D, man. I need an update on
for that. Thank you, Obi.
I need an update on the young man, young Mike, man, and his throwing and pitching and stuff, man. What's going on?
He's doing well. So the last 2 tournaments have been like an hour in the Pennsylvania.
Hey, man, the listeners really want to hear you, man. So you have to talk up a little bit louder.
My apologies. The last 2 tournaments have been like an hour in the Pennsylvania, so it's been a long drive. The last time out, they accused him of cheating, which was kind of interesting. So we found out after that this is like the supposedly like top 12-year, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds. They was big, so they had to be 15.
Hold on now. How old is Mike?
He just turned 13.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, so they're
Just want to
15.
point that out.
It's top from Delaware, New York, Pennsylvania, and Jersey. And first inning, dude was striking him out. They started talking about he was cheating using a rubber ball. Dude got pissed off, came out second inning, 3 outs on 4 pitches. Let's go home. Third inning, third inning, right? Third inning, they got to him. We could tell he was getting tired and he was done. So he only gave up 3, and that was in the first one. Some kid hit it off of the fence. And then other than that, everything was ground balls, pop-ups. He was in control of the game. So he didn't
How
want.
is a 13-year-old considered cheating playing with 15-year-olds?
Oh, the cutter is nasty. Like nasty.
Is it like a banned pitch or something? Like you just kept
Nah, just you. You standing there in the box. It look like it's gonna hit you. Next thing you know, you ain't moving. It hit the catcher in the glove.
So talk to some of us non-baseball folks. The cutters slicing down like this.
It's kind of like yeah. So like imagine he in the back. He all excited. Now he done heard me talking about him pitching. So like imagine standing in the box and somebody throw a fastball. And it literally look like it's gonna hit you, and as you see it is coming towards you, you start to notice that it's moving away from you, and it dropped like a curveball, but it's a fastball, and he can make it either drop throwing at you, or he can make it drop away from you. So you can tell when he throw it, either they standing there looking at it, or it's one of them swings like I'm trying to protect and just fall it off, and you can't find it. Yeah, it's wicked. So his long toss, he throwing 80 yards now, pretty much on just a skip, and it's coming out like boom. Oh, okay. So it gets to a point like I don't even really catch him no more. It's coming too fast. It's coming too fast.
I don't need them hand problems.
Right. No, it ain't that. It moves. So like I was trying to catch it and it moved away from my glove and hit me right in my knee.
Oh.
Me.
ACLs all day.
Yeah.
All right. And now catchers little curtain.
Okay.
Go there.
Just put a mattress in front of it.
I'm done.
Hey, so let me ask you a question, Mike. Are these young catchers, are they surprised when the ball hits their glove?
They love it because it's like for them, they in the back calling pitches. They like, hey man, this dude.
Oh, so they know. Okay, so they know. I'm sorry, I
him.
forgot. As Ian said, the non-baseball folks.
Yeah, they know what's coming. But it's the fact that like they know that they can have him do stuff like that. Like it's literally like, all right, 3-2, throw the cutter, let's go. We need a ground ball, throw the cutter, throw the change, throw the fast. Like the coach is on some
all of that.
that type of stuff.
For those who aren't watching, all the hand signals and face touching.
Right. And next thing you know, he throwing it to first, or he throwing a pitch out, or he doing something. So and then he went from batting 6 to leading off. So
whoa.
Wow.
So he can hit
Pitchers
and
lead.
he can throw.
oh yeah,
Nice.
yeah, switch hitter, everything.
So that means he's got
Which
some
hitter?
speed, man.
Mm-hmm.
He got some speed too, huh?
No.
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 Oh,
None.
you said he was lead off. I was just like, okay.
He gets on base. I'll say that.
We'll get there.
Yeah, he can get on base almost on a regular basis. So he either gonna walk, he gonna get a hit. Very rarely will he strike out.
Oh, okay.
Very
I
rarely.
always thought that it's harder to strike out a pitcher because you kind of can see the ball. You know, you have an idea of what's happening as it's coming to you. So you go, okay, it's going to drop or not.
And he started off like playing baseball as a catcher. So like between both, dude got an eye. And like this kid is throwing gas. Like the kid he was playing, he had to be throwing mid-70s, top 70, low 80s. And like I'm sitting there as a parent, like, ugh. And he get up there, he good. Like, all right, well, go ahead, shout it.
Nice.
Let's make this drive.
So Mike, how do you find with him playing with these older kids, you keeping Mike to his personality, his core, keeping him in himself and developing him that way versus him kind of like latching on to what he sees and kind of maybe getting outside of himself, feeling like, oh, I got to compete with these guys?
A little bit of both. So he's naturally competitive. Like it don't matter. The fact that he knows he's playing with older, like in his mind, he wants to be just as good or as better as they are at this age. So he doesn't put his own age into it. So I've told him like, hey, look, you early. You like, no, I can't think like that. I got to do what I need to do. So I make sure that he's doing whatever work he's supposed to do during the week. I just tell him to trust his workout. But don't let kind of the whole thing of how people are telling you how good you are and kind of the teams that you're on kind of define you. Just keep doing every day, trust your stuff, trust what you work on, stay humble. So yes, you can talk smack, yes you can have, but don't get crazy with it. Don't be disrespectful of the game because it eventually will come back and bite you.
Mm.
As long as you do your work, you know what I mean? He's a shy kid, so it's like he doesn't talk at all. So I've been
He doesn't have
encouraged.
to.
Right. Been
Action.
encouraging him to, have conversations with the coaches, tell him what you're thinking, tell him how you thinking, tell him what your thought is, and you'll be good.
Steph
So
Curry,
mhm.
you don't gotta talk. Just drop it and walk away.
Apparently he get to not talking from his dad because we gotta speak up.
Yeah. I tell you what, so seeing Mike play a little bit of sports before he left, if Mike started talking during the game, okay, it's on, like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. And you can hear him then.
Yeah. So it was interesting. The girls came when I was playing ball. The girls came the first couple games. We had we playing these guys, and we got back in the car. And the first thing they said was, "Daddy, you cuss a lot." It's like, what? Like, you got a foul mouth. It's only the court. It's only, but good Lord, like every word coming out your mouth was like, hey. But hey, it's the competitiveness in it. So it's like I see it. I mean, like he would get a ground ball and scream, or he get a fly ball and be like, "It's up." So it's like he's into it, which is the opposite. Because I would always try and get Des to do that when she was playing basketball. Like, you need to scream, sweetie. Say, "No, I'm good." Like, "No, let it out." So yeah, it's good. It's exciting. I'm excited to see, how it's going to turn out. The more that he does things, the more that you start to realize, all right, y'all. Well, he got something.
Yeah, and he kind of growing into his own, man. Like hearing you talk about how you nurturing that and developing that, it reminds me of something I was listening to over the weekend. You guys listen to it too. But the Will Smith Rat Radar podcast. And one of the biggest things that stood out for me in that podcast was the way that he kind of raised his children. And he talked about how he gave, Willow and Jaden so much freedom and opportunity to operate. And Willow benefited most from it because she's the younger. So all of the mistakes that he made with Jaden and his other child and his niece Trey, he kind of was able to pour more into her and developing her and letting her grow into what she is. And he used the reference. He talked about love and, there being a desire pleasure portion of it when it comes to a parent. And, oh, yes, you do what I say. I love you for it because you're listening to me. And kind of getting out of that mode and getting into this, gardener nurturing mode where I'm just going to let you kind of be you and I'm going to guide you along this path and tend to you how you should be tended. But I want you to grow into what you're going to be because you already are who you're going to be, kind of, So he used the reference as a flower. A flower is what it is. That seed is only going to bud one kind of way, but it's up to me to nurture that and make sure it grows into what it's supposed to be. And I think that's one of the biggest things I got from that podcast because that's where I am with Nia and raising her because she is a girl, she is sensitive, and she has a lot of different quirks and little things about her that I'm learning and trying to learn myself how to actually deal with to best give her what she needs to grow into who she's going to be.
So it's like how philosophers have the nature versus nurture thing. So you're saying using them in unison as opposed to choosing one or the other, like nature and nurture.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Now here's the only. I'm glad you said that, right? Because, and I didn't think about this before, but if you think about the reasons behind that, and then what Brett just said, you're looking at a father's relationship with a daughter, right, as opposed to a father to a son. Because we're looking at these girls like flowers, and then you're looking at your son like an oak. And hey, you got to grow up straight and you got to grow up strong, as opposed to, okay, let's just set the environment for our sons as well, for them to grow into what they're going to be. I think there's a little bit more pressure that we put on them. I mean, so look, Will had Trey, who's the oldest. Then he had Jaden, and he didn't get it right until Willow And how much of that is more so because she is a daughter as opposed to a son? And we don't have to get too deep into that because that's probably in a separate podcast all on its own. But it was just very interesting that he realized, hey, I can't treat her like I treated Jaden or like I treated Trey. I need to let her come into her own. Just give her the right ingredients in the soil for her to flourish.
I agree with that 100%. Like I've seen guys that have had girls first have been completely different fathers throughout than guys that have had boys first. Because the girl automatically like, whoa, like I need to think through everything that I did. I need to think through all that. It kind of push you in check. Whereas once you get the boy, you're like, yeah, this is my dude. And it kind of just as it goes, the second child is different, the third, but it's usually whatever gender you had at first kind of shapes who you are as a father throughout.
You sound good, bro.
So before Ian,
Okay.
I'm beginning before he gets the words in. I didn't get that part. Well, I didn't. That wasn't a big factor for me in it. So I enjoyed the children's part and kind of, but I guess I glazed over it because I'm not at that point yet where I'm still going. So kind of was like, okay, what will call me, and we'll get into later on, was the marriage and the actual partnership part, which is kind of like, so it's kind of cool to hear that, you know, you pulled out that part of it and it's to you, but you know, everyone has their own view of that 1 hour podcast. There's so many gems, but some just flew right by you because it's not in your, that's not at your level. Or think about right now, your focus is on that part. But go ahead, Ian. Now you're free of mute.
No, he's not free.
Oh man, we are
incarcerated right now. He's in volume incarceration.
Well, since Ian doesn't have anything else to say, let's talk about the marriage portion for you, Faison.
Check. We back.
My mic sounds
go ahead.
nice.
Let's go. All right. Give him respect. Go ahead. Knock it out, kid.
What I was going to say is that regarding the growing up and raising your child, that us as males, when we see a son, we're automatically looking at the aspect of little me, and I need to think about all the stuff that I messed up with, and I'm going to make sure that he don't do the same things that I messed up with, just because no matter what, and this is the same thing that happens with females with their daughter, they're reliving their own life through their child. And so when you have that opposite sex where you're like, well, I don't know nothing that's familiar about that you have a little bit more freedom and open-endedness, because you really don't feel that you know, even though we don't know as males, we still have and anybody has that kind of preconceived notion that I already kind of know what life is because I've done enough to get this new life here. And it's that same type of feeling that needs to be pushed to either sex, is that open-endedness and the allowing the child to grow into what they are, and freeing yourself of the fears and the hopes that you had as a child and whatever you messed up with, and thinking that because they came from you, they are the same individual. It's hard understanding as a parent that is still its own entity. They are still their own life, and they are still going to grow and flourish in what is comfortable for them if you allow it. And that's the best way to allow a child to grow, right? Without the pressures and limitations or expectations, but really allowing them to become that Basquiat or whoever else, because they had the freedom to express themselves and to be nourished, as opposed to being pointed in what direction they're supposed to go.
Art, let me set you up with this transition thought. So it's interesting that you said that, right? And what it made me think about was that opposite sex and how we interact. So as a male, you have a daughter. Here is a female now that you love unconditionally, that you will protect no matter what. And in that protection, we're also protecting your ability to be your own person. And I think in our relationships with our spouses or significant others, that protection is on a sliding scale based on the level of frustration or friction that we experience in the relationship. And because you don't have that with a daughter as a father or as a mother with a son, it's a lot more unconditional, and you no matter what happens, you're still going to love them. and that love trumps so much stuff that it makes it that much easier. And I'll turn it over to you now, Art, because I think you were about to go that direction anyway.
I was, and it's just so. Those who haven't heard the podcast, he really went into detail about how him and Jada had some issues. He went to go see somebody who. Well, first, let's rewind back. If you're in a relationship and you are struggling, you got issues with your relationship, don't give me advice, because how are you going to help me? You can't help me as a person when you are struggling. Can you hear me now? You are struggling because the simple fact is that your house isn't in order. So giving advice to somebody else about their house is never going to be working. So Jada and Will went out, talked to, I think it was Ruby, was the name? Ruby D. And she talked about, oh man, you guys have been married for 17 years. Man, y'all don't even know each other yet. He didn't know him. And it's crazy because you think about it as from that view, I had to pause it and think. So I was on a plane, listen to it. I paused it and say, yo, that's insane, because at 17 years old, you don't know yourself. You're still growing as a person, trying to figure out who you are. So how do you expect 17 years in a relationship to know this other person who's still growing as an adult for themselves? So like that thought is like, wow, we bicker, we may argue, we may disagree, blah, blah. And we may want to change someone to be what we want them to be. But I'm 4 years in. We're still babies in this game of marriage. And I'm still babies in marriage. And it's like, we got a long way to go. So I got to take it for what it is, work together in a partnership, and like learn that it's just not, me and her as husband and wife. This is a partnership. This is a life partner. And we're going to be in this for the long road. So these little small bumps that we may go into, it can't affect the end of the road where we're down the line. So it was just an amazing, that part stuck out to me a lot. And it really made me change my view on just the marriage aspect and just EJ, my wife, and how we're going to do this as a group and our goals together. Thank you, Kate, pointing out. I would never have seen that if you didn't say, hey, listen to this. Maybe 10 years from now I saw it, but it was good now because I can now affect change in my relationship for the next 14 years and be able to get to that point where we are happy and things are good later on, or happier. We're happy now. Very happy.
That's one of those things that most people don't take into consideration, right? And not just in your life with your partner, but in your life period, understanding that this thing is one long lesson, and to get out of the pig-headedness and the assumptions that you actually know everything, right? And understanding that you are always, well, at least should always evolve, and being okay and understanding with who you choose as your partner, and understanding that both of you guys are going to evolve. Sometimes that evolution may manifest itself in ways that are a little different than what you're used to, but allowing the freedom of expression, just like we were talking with the nurturing of your child, is the same thing that needs to happen with your relationship, and the understanding of the growth that is there in nurturing that. That's the true like gym, right? To be able to apply that across the board and have that understanding. I think in watching Will Smith now, if you're on his Instagram and all his social media, he's had that like real epiphany of authenticity, right? Like he references when he slapped this guy in France who was trying to give him a kiss on the cheek, like some interview reporter, and how when it first happened, he was very scared that it kind of like ruined his image, because this is Will Smith we're talking about, that he was literally in his hotel room kind of in fear, thinking that it was going to have some effect on his image. But then he starts getting blown up by Jay-Z, and Jay-Z hits him up like, man, me and Beyonce are sitting here dying. We almost canceled our concert so we could sit here and laugh at you slapping this dude, because it's refreshing to see how real you are, and to finally see you be you, as opposed to feeling like you need to be Mr. Will Smith, and understand that you're a real person too. And that authenticity is what has allowed him to have that resurgence in his career, right? All of a sudden you see Will freestyling, going places. He just did the Shiggy challenge on that Drake song, where this man walks out of his hotel room and walks up like a bridge in Budapest or something like that. And I'm talking about like up the narrow shaft to literally standing on the top of like some huge bridge, drone going around him. He's doing the dance and everything, but he's found that authenticity. He's found that it's okay to be him, and that's what he is allowed to express to all of his other family members. Because if you look at his children, all of them, they always reference Jaden going to prom as Batman, wearing a Batman suit with the girl that he took to prom, and the parents of that girl calling Will and Jada like, hey, you know, it's her prom because all of the kids were homeschooled, so like, hey, I don't want him to ruin, you know, this is a big moment for her, but allowing him to be him, and then it turned out to be like the best moment ever that girl's life up to that point, because they just had a really good time, and allowing that to happen.
I really hope that somebody out there is recapping our podcast like we're recapping this podcast,
right?
But more importantly, that authenticity piece that you hit on, you guys know that's one of my things that I'm all about, is authenticity. And hearing him say, when his father passed, he felt like he now had permission and a clear lane to now be himself. And for you guys on the cast and the listeners out there, I think that's something that we all endure to a degree, is that constant pressure, or that constant, what will my parent think or my grandparent think about what I'm doing? And in some cases, I think that suppresses us from actually being the person that we are. And then when we get into a relationship, now you have this other person that may be suppressing who you are, that you're holding yourself back from, because you're always scared about that opinion from that parent, grandparent, spouse, girlfriend, whoever it may be. And that's something that I think in the last couple years, I've challenged myself with, because I've always felt that pressure of what will my grandmother think, or what will my mom think? And it was funny that this happened on listening to that podcast, because on New Year's this year, my dad told me, he said, hey, my wish for you is that this is the year that you'll actually embrace and show everybody who you truly are. And I was like, man, that's deep. That's like, wow. Like,
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, that's something that's just in my mind now every day. Like, no matter what, I'm just going to show you people who I truly am, and stop holding back and worrying about how it's going to be perceived.
I think the biggest thing that I got from what you said, and even what Will said, and all of that, is the peace that's associated with it. Because I think he talked about happiness or peace and them being kind of one and the same in the interview. And for me, it's been that type of pursuit of happiness and pursuit of that inner peace for a while. And once you let go of that pressure and you are accepting of yourself and you get that authenticity, just put it out there, like, it's so much easier. You know what I'm saying? Your life typically is much peaceful in that, you know, I guess, realm of what it is you have going on.
Right. I think but the path to getting to that place is acceptance. Like, I think as a youth, you spend so much time trying to run from, oh, I'm not like my dad, or I'm not like my mom. You know what I mean? But to a degree, if they raised you, you have their tendencies, or you have their qualities. And I think it's more so accepting that and working in unison with that, as opposed to trying to reinvent the wheel and getting to know yourself and knowing them as an individual and know yourself as an individual and living in that, as opposed to, like I said, just trying to run away from it. Because what I've come to learn, man, is that, you know how you say that you try to be an individual in the crowd, but it takes a village, as we all know. So really, we're a crowd within one individual, and you just have to choose which one. Like, you know, you just have to choose who you are in that. So that's just what I've come to understand, man.
I think I just had the realization of, it's funny how good a job my parents did in raising me, because I look at how the perceived notion of how psychopathic I am, in the sense of I do everything, and I'm somebody who will try, and whatever it is, I'm going to work on trying to figure it out. And it's because my parents gave me that freedom in knowing that it doesn't matter. I love you anyway. I've messed up plenty times in my life, but always known like it's okay for me to be me. And even when I mess up, to absorb that lesson and to progress from there, as opposed to getting lost in that moment of, oh man, I disappointed somebody. I totally like, and getting lost in that space where my parents always, I got lit up, don't get it twisted. But at the same time, there was that love and understanding that I knew even when I did wrong, it wasn't, in a sense, I couldn't let them down, right? Like that they knew, hey, they've done wrong in their life as well, that they had to learn that lesson from. That it's the same thing with me. And they gave me that freedom. Like I've never felt the pressure of that, like, I'm gonna let my mom down if I go ahead. Like to me, it's always been my mom and dad. Man, you may not get another chance to try this, so you better do it now. If it's wrong, then you're gonna learn afterwards. But go ahead, jump, boy, jump. Go ahead and enjoy it. And it's crazy that I just really had that true epiphany right now on the show of realizing that's why I'm the way I am. That's why I will do 900 things for the podcast, but that's just in my nature. I enjoy something new. I enjoy trying, really, at the end of the day. And that's something that they pushed and instilled in me.
I really want you to not downplay like your pops telling you to jump, because it was kind of like, go ahead and jump, boy, go ahead and jump, or I'm gonna hit you in the back of the head. That's really kind of how it was, and how he instilled it. Like, we've talked about your pop's OG tendencies, but
oh yeah, he would
Jay,
let you know.
You hit something, and we kind of hit and ran. But for the parents out there, be very careful with the words that you use with your children, because one of the biggest buttons that parents like to push is, oh, you just like your father. Ooh. Or, oh, you acting just like your mom right now. And maybe it's true, but when you send that message to your child, you're now associating a behavior with something that's negative because of your experiences. And those may be some of the best parts of your child, that they have that ability, or that they have that characteristic. Getting back to the nurture is, okay, if they have that, what are the best qualities of that behavior that you can help to grow, that you can help enrich? Again, be that nutrient dense soil that's going to help the best parts of that come out. And then you can kind of filter anything that could be perceived as quote unquote negative.
Yeah, that is completely correct and insane at the same time, because EJ, my wife, consistently says that I am just like my mother when it comes to a mindset of my the way I look at things, how fast I can be irritated, how I take control of things. And I didn't really notice that until probably about a year or two ago, when I started to like observe my mom. And I was like, oh, wow. And my dad would say it all the time too, that, oh yeah, he's like your mom, like your mom. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't see what you're doing. But my nature, the way that I do things, and my way of caring and here, buy this. I might not hold your hand, but I'll buy you this. This is a gift for you because I love you. Is not what she wants and how she sees things. So you're correct when it comes to you are like someone else, but just knowing that, pulling the best out of that, because my mom has some great things she does, but I can see things that does not work well with EJ that I have to adjust and go from my dad's side and pull from. So correct.
I think it's like, as parents, sometimes we fail to understand that it doesn't matter by nature. Just like if you hang out with your friends for a long time, you pick up their traits and their slang and what they say, that by nature, your children are going to pick up traits from you. So you don't have to force them to pick up those traits. You just have to roll with the hope that they'll pick up the good ones and not the bad ones.
And we said, as parents, it's not just as parents. It's as bosses,
You're right.
managers. You go into the workplace and you're trying to curb people to what you do and your behaviors. And that's not the signs of a good boss. You need to find people, you need to curb people to their natural instincts and ability and show them how that can work. And a lot of times we miss that. So don't misunderstand. We talked about children. We talked about your relationship with your spouse, but understand that that's just practice for you managing, because those are the first the first time that you get to be a manager is managing those behaviors and relationships that make your home successful. Those same things carry over into the workplace.
Like I tell you all the time, your household is the largest and hardest corporation you ever have to work for. And if you don't learn how to take the lessons and apply them on both sides, right, business and in life, and understand how they're intertwined and understand those exact facts that there are, you have to be able to be a leader, not a boss, right? And being able to understand how you can motivate, adapt to people's personalities, children's personalities, understanding that it's okay, that you have to treat this one person this way and you have to treat the next person this way, because you understand their personalities and understand what you need to get from them in order to produce what is ultimately needed. And that's what a real leader does, of both a corporation or a household.
Boss is a title, not an attribute.
Bang.
There it is, man. There it is. Hey, real quick, man, before I get to Fresh and Biz and Faison's Corner, I want to put this out there because I just saw it not on the news not too long ago. So they're reopening the Emmett Till case from the Department of Justice is reopening the Emmett Till case. And I was never really privy to a lot of the details around this thing, but thanks to this book, The Blood of Emmett Till, it looks like, by Timothy Tyson, they have gotten some new information, and basically Carolyn Bryant, who was the accuser at the time in 1955, she basically recanted her story. So I kind of want to get you guys' take on that, now 60 plus years later, that they're reopening this case. The two men who actually confessed to what they did a year after the trial in a magazine are already dead. They passed on at this point. They tried to reopen this case in 2004 unsuccessfully. They said because of statute of limitations, they couldn't go back and retry anyone that was involved. And now you have in 2018, due to a Civil Rights Act that allows you to open cases pre-1980, you have them reopening this case. What does this really mean for us outside of the system kind of, sort of, maybe trying to right or wrong?
It's hard. It's the two sides of the coin, because
Right.
in one aspect of it, it's you want to see the justice, but where is that justice getting served at the end of the day? If I think they made a good point. I think like Robert De Niro, I saw an article that pretty much listed a bunch of people that are the same age that Emmett Till would be today. And so showing like had his life never, it wasn't like it was so long ago that he wouldn't be alive if that situation never happened, if his murder never happened. And so it's just odd. All of this time passed. I'm just curious, what is going to be the gain after the verdict of, hey, yes, he was murdered. This is wrong. Are they going to these murderers' estate now and taken away from their children? Is it just to say it and let the gavel come down? It's really my question. While I enjoy the justice aspect, I'm just curious, what's the restitution?
What's the real?
I think that it kind of goes to the old said that what's done in the dark come out in the light. It may take a while to get there, but the fear of now doing things, thinking, oh well, I'll get away with it, or I'll do this, or I'll kill a young man, and it'll be done once his gavel's done, is over with. This is showing that hey, it may be years down the line, it might come back. So it could be a play on honesty and doing the right thing all the time.
Does it really though? Do I really care about 20 years after I'm dead? They're gonna find me.
Well, it depends on what happens right now with the case. If they're going at their estate, they could. That's your family legacy that you can ruin right
but
there.
I don't know if that's factual. That's what I'm saying. I just don't know.
They haven't given any of those details.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to what is when that gavel comes down as yes, he was lynched, it was a murder. What is who and where is creating the restitution, the whatever, or who is serving the sentence of what has happened? That's my biggest curiosity. While I understand, and we've all heard about the Emmett Till case in the murder, but it's where does that justice come? What is the result of this verdict?
And
I
that's
think
where
if the results reveal or highlight inefficiencies in how we investigate civil rights cases, and if there's something to learn moving forward, I think that's where the gain is.
That'll set a precedent.
Yeah, set precedent, or just set, hey, we need to change how we investigate civil rights occurrences, infractions, and go from there. So you're right. I mean, it's not like he has children.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's somebody in the family lineage that maybe they get something, maybe they don't. But as I said, the bigger impact is, okay, we see some gaps in how we investigated this and possible other investigations.
And Lord knows at that point in time, there was way more evidence that was just thrown away that was kind of just pushed aside because of the time.
Man, listen, I'm reading the details and it's just shocking and appalling. Like, how do these things happen? But obviously, you know, the time dictates what happened.
I say what's shocking and appalling is the fact that that's the case that got publicity. How many of these cases
exactly
had nothing? That it was just not even a case. It was just another dead one anyway.
Yeah. But we'll go ahead and leave that there. Fresh and Biz, I got to get you in, man. What we got this week?
So, Fresh and Biz, this week I want to talk about utilizing your resources. As your number one entrepreneur ninja, I am avid in I don't know if I want to say avid, but you know, I go hard at if there is something that I need to get accomplished, I utilize what is at my disposal in order to get that done. What do I mean? The internet, your computer, you can learn all things, and most of them actually for free through your computer, through the internet. People don't take enough time to go ahead and Google what you're interested in, watch videos, you know, find different websites about things that you want to do. And this is everything from complex things of, you know, wanting to get your master's degree to simple things like, I bake great cupcakes and I want to start my cupcake business. There is endless amounts of information on the internet for you to learn how to execute your business, learn how to make better cupcakes, learn how to, you know, become a corporation, learn how to take what you're doing in your spare time and hopefully create enough momentum in order to make it your full-time opportunity if that's what you want, or how to utilize it as your you know, your second tier source of income in your hobby that you're allowing to progress and flourish into something more. So today, Fresh and Biz, use your resources. Don't be foolish. Allow yourself to utilize what is at your fingertips. And the main thing I'm talking about is your computer or your phone, whatever way you get connected to the internet. Make sure that you are allowing it to be more than Facebook or Instagram social media source, and understand it has real power and real opportunity for you to blow up. Fresh and Biz this week, number one entrepreneur ninja. We out. Let's get it.
Hey, the power of YouTube University. My lady got 2 degrees off of that thing, and she's working on the 3rd one now. YouTube University is real. Faison, what you got this week in your corner, man?
Hey, this week is very, very simple, I believe. Everybody can't be a producer. Somebody has to be a consumer. And when I say that, we talk a lot on this podcast about, you know, getting things together and people doing the right thing to move forward in your career. But there are people out there, and I'm running off of Fresh and Biz, that want to be entrepreneurs, and they kind of want to go in, they do all the work they're going to do, and they do this and wind up working 16 hours instead of the 8 they had when they were working at their job. Everybody, when you're trying to move forward, trying to do the next level, look at the work that you're working with. Is the value of your time and your money worth that extra? Not everybody's going to be able to do that. You can't leave your 8-hour job to work 16 hours that you're going to do better. It's not. You're better off being at your 8-hour job and living life comfortably like you were. Everyone's not going to be a producer. Someone has to be a consumer.
I don't swear by that. Get your ass out there and work it out, baby.
I don't know, man. If that 16 hours is, you know, spent watching some stocks go up and down, then, you know, I think I'd be good with that.
No, but don't get me wrong. There's passive income, which is where you're watching stocks, and someone's actually having to work. Like, for instance, if you are a construction person and you're getting your own business, but you don't trust someone to do your job, you got to do it yourself, and you're at every project every single day, and you lost family time, and now you're there. That's different. You lost the ability to actually take care of your own. You're better off being the worker who went home at 5 o'clock, had family time, than the guy who owns it and can't do anything. You can't go on vacation. You can't enjoy it. You're working yourself to death. Literally, you work until you die. It's a whole different mindset of entrepreneurship.
Sounds like they need to give Panache 5 a call so we can come in and assess the situation.
There you go.
So that we can help you find the efficiencies that you may be missing to make your business start working for you in a more efficient manner. But yeah.
Thanks.
Mic drop.
Coach K, man, go ahead and put us out of here, man. Get us out of here.
Hey, before I take us out, I just want to find out, J Dace, what did you think about all of the accolades that we gave you? Yep, pause right there. All right.
Thirst Trap J Dace, man. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it after the podcast. Go ahead, Coach K. What you got for the people?
He said, you see him, what J-Day said. Nah.
All right. So I'm going to close out with this. One of the things that the medical field thinks combats cancer are nutrient-dense foods. And how do you get nutrient-dense foods? You get nutrient-dense foods by enriching the soil, growing things in ideal condition, free from pesticides, free from things that will diminish the value and will be of no nutrient, I'm gonna use the word value again, to that food. And then it goes in you and does the same thing. So what I would say is, what is the cancer in your life and where is the lack in nutrients in your environment? Because the way that you grow and that you continue to be healthy in your living environment is creating things that will provide value to you and to your loved ones. So watch the soil around you, watch the things that you put to contribute to your nutrient density. That is what I will challenge you with this week, and realize that your nutrient density is not just your home. It is also your workplace and those around you.
There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hit us up, man, at 13th Floor, please, on all your social media sites. Send us a line at email, 13thfloor@philogology.com, and comment on the podcast, man. When you see it on YouTube, when you watch, listening to it on SoundCloud, iTunes, or Google Play, let us know what you think. Give us some topic ideas, and we'll definitely throw them into the show. We like to shout out our listeners. Gentlemen, appreciate y'all this morning, man. We up out of here. America, go be great, as J Dace used to say. And J Dace, go listen to last week's podcast.
Message.
We up out of here, man. Thank you all for listening with us here on the 13th floor, where the furniture isn't always the best.
Amazing.
The 13th floor.
Just like a rain day. It's amazing. The thunder behind me is insane.
The 13th floor.